All right, here we are, Caelan. 90 days it's been since we first sat at this table. Welcome back, and just doing a check-in with you, see how you're doing, what's going on in your life. So talk to me. Where are we at 90 days?
Man, we're past 90 now. I think today is 106 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're in the triple digits now, but man, things are awesome, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I been staying sober, working with, sponsor, all of that, and just, taking suggestions, just taking direction. I mean, I got a job now that I enjoy. I'm able to get to and from work. I've just been just staying sober, just, progressing in pretty much all areas of life, man. I mean, I still got a lot of work to do, but I mean, ain't no thing but a chicken wing, man. But yeah, things are great. Things are great. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about how long has it been since you've had this much clean time?
That would have been the first time I came out to Orange County for treatment. Did a 90-day program.
So how long ago was that?
That was September of 2019. I came out here for the first time. And yeah, just, did pretty well from my perspective and the treatment side of things. But after I left, was pretty much substituted all of what I was doing there with just work. And, eventually, as soon as that money came in my pocket and that light bulb went off, it was back to the races. But yeah, that was like 115, 116 days. That was the longest that I'd have sober, thus far. So
you completed treatment with South Coast Counseling.
Yes, sir.
Right. And what did that give you to kind of set you up for success right now?
Well, I mean, I think what's really been helping is being able to just slowly transition into normal society in terms of, having a job, but being able to go back to a sober environment, not necessarily just going back home to where, I got to build a foundation out there. I already have a relatively solid foundation here, so I'm just kind of, being able to utilize that and, branch out into just kind of adding on these different things like work and just trying to navigate how I'm going to fit in what I need to do for sobriety piece and, just the normal quote unquote adult stuff.
So you're living in a sober living home, right?
Correct.
So what's that like? Tell people that don't know what a sober living home is and what's different than being in treatment.
Well, I mean, when you're in treatment, it's definitely a lot more controlled. You got people checking in on you, and you got all these groups, and it's a lot more structured. But in sober living, you kind of have a little bit more autonomy to kind of put that structure in, like you were saying a couple weeks ago, just kind of place that structure into your own life on your own accord and kind of just tailor, your life in that sense. So it's a lot more freedom. And initially for me personally, that kind of threw off my equilibrium. I do well in a structured environment that's structured for me, but when it comes to placing that structure in my own life, that's that was a difficult part. But I mean, I just got through it, stayed sober, and once I kind of got into my rhythm, got into my routine, just kept on doing what I needed to do, then slowly but surely, day by day, I've been able to just kind of develop a routine that works for me and just.
So what kind of structure do they have in a sober living? Like what are the rules? Like what do you got to do to live in a sober living?
Well, I mean, number one, obviously stay sober,
Absolutely.
which is difficult for a lot of people. But we got curfew. It's relatively lenient. I mean, as long as you keep your side of the street clean, got chores to do, double scrub on Sundays, house meetings. You know what I mean? There's you got to put in some work,
Right.
but I mean, if you manage your time pretty well, then you're able to do that and just kind of have your own life, do your own thing.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit last time about completing treatment kind of giving you that foundation, but doesn't completely cure you. We have a lifelong thing that we have to deal with addiction and alcoholism. So talk to me a little bit about what you're doing on a daily basis to maintain your sobriety.
Well, I mean, what's really helped for me, which is something that my therapist, when I was doing IOP, doing groups at the clinical center that you guys have, my therapist there was like, we were talking, and he was like, well, why don't you do like a to-do list, write out a to-do list the day before, and, just start, crossing off those little like small wins. So, I mean, I used to get up at 7 a.m., but I changed it to 6:30 a.m. Now I get up at 6:30 in the morning every day, chug my water, hydrate, make my bed, do my readings, whether it's, reading the Bible for me and, some daily reflections, just kind of get that in early in the morning, eat my breakfast, work out, go to work, go to a meeting here and there, go hang out at South Coast Counseling with some of the guys after I get off work, help out a little bit, just kind of, see where everybody's at. And that's pretty much what I've been doing now. I mean, calling my sponsor every day, just doing whatever he tells me to do is yes,
Right.
sir. You know what I mean? Just,
So let me ask you
Yeah.
about that, like the importance of having a sponsor, and my experience has been that's a real important piece to the puzzle for long-term sobriety. Talk to me a little bit about your sponsor and what that relationship's like, and what a sponsor does for people that don't know what a sponsor is in recovery.
well, I mean, a sponsor is, at least in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the program that I work personally. But I mean, there's plenty of programs, as you know. But a sponsor in that setting is somebody who helps take you through the book and work the 12 steps, and which is, I mean, from my understanding, it's it's a program designed to illuminate some things in my own personal life where my part was in a lot of things, and helps me kind of clean up that wreckage and move on and start passing that on to others, to other people who are still suffering. And my sponsor is I mean, he tells it how it is, man. He's not scared to fucking just rail me on some shit and just tell me like, dude, you're not thinking straight.
Right.
And it's a good like sounding board to have, to kind of, I mean, if I'm feeling like going out and making that bad decision, calling my sponsor and him telling me like, just what I need to hear, kind of thing. And I mean, it's a important like piece of accountability for me, and kind of helps me get that detached perspective of just kind of void of the emotion that I may bring into a certain situation, and kind of bouncing that off of a sponsor helps me to kind of look at things from a different perspective. But at the end of the day, it's about working the steps and passing it on to the next person.
Right. And so talk to me a little bit about the steps, where you're at in that journey.
So we're going to be doing step 2 at some point in time, either this week or, I've been working and he's been a little busy. So it's been a little difficult to kind of coordinate some time to devote to doing that. But Yeah, we're still in the beginning stages of that, and still just calling him every day, just checking in, and
Good.
yeah.
Good. And so you're in your mid-20s. How old are you again? Yeah,
26 now.
26. Yeah. And so a lot of times, like what we hear from people in their 20s is they feel like they're missing the party and they feel like they're not having any fun. What have you kind of found in sobriety, being in your 20s, to kind of fulfill that need to kind of have fun and enjoy yourself in sobriety? Because I see a lot of you young guys around, and I was a young guy in sobriety at one time, and we had a lot of fun. But like, what are you doing to in your free time to enjoy yourself?
I mean, first I'll just say, I share that mentality as well, just in terms of like, man, I could be going to a game, drinking with my buddy, or like I want to have a beer with my dad on July 4th or something. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not really fun, like actual fun. It's just an external thing, But I mean, what I've been doing to have fun, I mean, being at the house, working out with the guys, that's fun to me, just kind of, just building my physical body. That's fun for me. I mean, going to meetings and, hanging out, just kind of giving back and hearing the message and stuff like that. I mean, still at this point in my recovery thus far, I mean, the last month or two, I wouldn't say I've been having, a ton of like fun, like going out and doing all of these things. But I mean, while I was here, I got to go, went to like I think it's K1 or K2 Speedway. I don't know.
K1 speed, yeah.
Yeah. So we got to drive some go-karts, man. And I've been to the beach and played some volleyball. We've done some fun things and, stayed sober through it. And what I found when I'm doing those things, when I have these activities to do, whether it's doing that or just hanging out at the house, cooking dinner, just shooting the shit with the guys, like I don't have a single thought of doing any sort of stuff. Like it just doesn't cross my mind. It's like right here, right now is great. I'm having fun. I'll kind of think about it afterwards. I'm like, man, I didn't even think about doing anything, that whole time. And, so yeah, we definitely have fun in sobriety for sure. And that's, I mean, for me, I think it's super important because, I didn't necessarily get sober to just be bored and angry or whatever. We have fun, man. Right. We have fun.
It's good. So talk to me a little bit about in your first 90 days, have you gone through any periods where you've had some cravings or you wanted to get loaded or?
Absolutely.
Okay. So talk to me about that and how you dealt with it.
One particular instance comes to mind, when I found out where my car was. It was on a tow yard. It had been involved in a hit and run, and I went to go check it out to see if I could get it off the lot. And I went to go check out the car. The whole front passenger side end was messed up, and there was like needles in like every compartment of the car. Just bunch of like phones that weren't mine. Just it looked like people were having just a grand old time in my car. And got back. It was a Wednesday, and we have our alumni meetings every Wednesday. And I was just in this. I mean, I was angry, but I think a lot of it was just fear. Just like, oh man, like now I don't have a car. Like, how am I gonna get to places? Just all of these things just running through my head. And I was this close to just dipping out and doing whatever I was going to do. And what I did is, luckily, I was going through that at South Coast Counseling, like at the facility, while they had their alumni meeting. I was kind of in the back where they have all the workout stuff. So if I was going to leave, I would have to walk through this gauntlet of sober people just staring at me, just like, what the fuck fuck is wrong with him? Where's he going?" type
Yeah.
of thing. And I was just like, I'll just sit here and pace back and forth and just do a bunch of push-ups or whatever. But I mean, I just, by God's grace, I just had a group of people around me that kind of acted as a force field that I just couldn't get out of. And I mean, I didn't necessarily reach out or talk to anybody about it. I didn't deal with it the best, but I mean, I just stayed. I just did whatever I had to do other than, getting loaded over it. And that was probably the toughest experience that I had, but I got through it. And there's been other various times where maybe I got a little irritated and had a fleeting thought of like, fuck this or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think for me, when I finally got sober and stayed sober, it's when I started telling on myself for that kind of stuff and talking about it when it was in my head with other people that were sober or my sponsor, things of that nature. So another thing I want to talk to you about, obviously, you compare yourself to that first interview that we did. You're in pretty good shape right now. Show everybody your guns, man. So I want to talk to you a little bit about physical fitness and like how that's like helped you deal with stress and your addiction and things that we've talked about going on. And
well, I mean, the physical progress is really just kind of like the cherry on top. I mean, what it does for me personally, like mentally, I mean, even when I was at South Coast Counseling, I mean, they have some workout stuff over there. So I mean, in between groups, after groups, I was just working out with some of the guys, and that kind of helped me get going. And I just make sure that I do something physical every day, and it just it gets me in a more positive mood. And I mean, seeing the external benefits of that and looking in the mirror and just, I mean, from a pretty much like an ego perspective, just like, oh yeah, I'm jacked type of thing. But it improves, my image of myself.
Right.
And it gives me this push that I need. It's like, you know what? All right, we're doing good. Like, let's do more. Right. It's crazy what the body can do. You would think it gets tired when you put in the effort, but it almost is like the opposite. Your body just gives you even more energy, and it calls you to just do more, and it just lifts up my spirit, and it just helps me get through whatever it is. I mean, if I'm having a good day, I'll work out, have an even better day. If I'm not having a good day, I'll work out, kind of just, reset that equilibrium. Right. And, there's really no negative to it.
Yeah. Helps with confidence. It helps with stress relief. It helps with dopamines in the brain getting released. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, having other people that, I'll put it out there like, hey man, like people at the house or whatever, hey, you want to work out or something? And, it's a blessing to be able to, take other people along and, help them get that same,
right.
That same type of positive mental attitude that you get when you just exert yourself physically.
Yeah.
So
the physical part you've been taking care of, and then we talked a little bit about the steps and the emotional part. Talk to me a little bit about that third kind of part that's been part of your journey and the spiritual part of your recovery, and what you do for that and what you've kind of realized, and have you had any revelations in that area?
Man, I mean, I've always kind of just dived into Christianity, the Bible side, just from an intellectual standpoint. I've read the Old Testament, New Testament. I haven't really read any other religious, texts or anything like that. But I mean, this has been like a years-long journey of just looking for something outside of myself to help me with, the things that ail me. And nothing in my own personal life has been more impactful than the story of Jesus Christ. And, just kind of keeping that story fresh in my mind. I mean, every morning I wake up and I read about a page a day or two out of the Bible. And again, it's more from a knowledge gaining basis, but but I mean, it kind of gives me a blueprint on how to deal with situations. I mean, last night was one of those situations where we were talking about earlier. I mean, I was riding my bike home from work, and they had a crime scene on my way back, and I wasn't aware that I couldn't go. I was going across the crosswalk to go down a street down towards the house that I'm living at, and the guy was like, "Whoa!" The cops right there were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Turn around! Like, turn around! This is a crime scene! Like, are you dumb?" And I told him like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just going this way." Like, "You can't go that way. This is a crime scene." And I just turned around, I'm like, "Can I go that way?" And they're like, "Yeah, go that way." And I'm like, "All right, God bless you guys." But the whole time I was riding back, I was like, "Man, I should have said fuck you." Like all this, like just going through all of this stuff. And man, that was a moment it kind of scared me, because I really I was getting into that mindset that I usually get into. It's usually like anger and irritation that push me to just make a bad decision, man. Just fucking throw it all away. And at that time, I was just riding my bike home, man, and I was just like, dude, God, like, just take this away from me. Help me to have compassion. I mean, it was just such a microcosm, just a small, just trivial exchange of words. And, my ego got involved. I was like, "Oh, you should have called him a bitch," and all this stuff. But I was just like, I couldn't do it on my own. So I just, called out to, my higher power, and was just like, "Take this away from me. Help me to have compassion for this person." I mean, they got a tough job, you know what I mean? And I got nothing but respect. But yeah, that was one of those moments where, I'm starting to get to that point where I have those moments, and it's more of an automatic thing to be like, "Oh, let me pray about it. Let me, seek some help," rather than just try to do it my own way, try to get out of that situation the same way that I came into it. And it's a process, but it's it helps. I mean, I'm still sober, so it's got to be doing something.
Good job. So talk to me a little bit. So when you came in here day one, you had lost your car, you had no money, you had no health insurance, and now you have a job. So talk to me about where you got a job and what you're doing, and how that feels to be able to go to work every day.
Yeah, I mean, I got a job in the area. I mean, I don't necessarily want to put where exactly I work at the moment, but I mean, it's in the food service industry, and I have experience in doing that. And I was hesitant to get back into the food service industry when I had a car and I was doing Uber and being able to just kind of make my own schedule and just slip back into the shadows and not have anybody even really bat an eye or call me like, "Hey, you're supposed to come into work today, bro." But it's awesome, man. I love being back in the food service industry and just being in that hospitality environment. I excel in that environment, and just working with a team of good people and just helping to serve our guests, just give them a good experience and good food.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So feeling good about going to work every day. All right, here we are, over 100 days, right? And last question I want to ask you is what can you tell that person that's in that position that you were in 107 days ago, and just in the depth of your addiction, and what kind of message do you want to give that person from the perspective you are sitting at this table right now?
I mean, just a message of hope, it was a rough, it's been a rough journey in general, just getting sober, getting all of that stuff, just going back and forth. But I mean, just a message of hope, I asked for help, and I took direction, and, I just, one day at a time, one step at a time, I just kind of slowly started building, and here we are, 107 days later, and God has taken some things away out of my life, like the car and all that, and has replaced it with something so much better, a life that's way better. I mean, I hear people talk about it, you get a life beyond your wildest dreams. I mean, I'm not, nearly as close as I am to having this life that I envision in my head, But I mean, I want for nothing, man. I work for what I want. I mean, I'm able to buy groceries. I'm able to feed myself. I have a roof over my head. I have a sober environment to go back to, and people that I can bounce ideas off of, and kind of just talk about situations where I'm angry. I'm thinking about doing this or doing that. Just like a message of like it's not only okay to ask for help, but it's I mean, it's simple. It's simple work, and it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But I mean, it's definitely worth it, man. It's worth it. I mean, I'm able to look in the mirror today and start to admire the person that I'm looking back at, and that gives me even more motivation to continue to do that. And just opening it up and being vulnerable, and sharing the the not so peachy things that I've done, that I've been through. It all comes back as a benefit, to help other people. And I mean, it's worth it, man. And I appreciate you guys for enabling me to or allowing me to start that journey, and kind of helping me along the way. I've just put in some simple footwork, and things have gotten way better than I could have even imagined, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, you remind me of something that an older, wiser guy in recovery always says to me. This program is not for people that want it and need it. It's for people that actually do it, and you're doing the work. And it's really neat to see your progression just at 90 days, just at 106 days. And we're excited to kind of follow you along. Appreciate you coming on here. We released your original podcast last week and got so much good feedback online, through the internet. You actually touched a couple of people that have reached out for help, and that's been a neat thing. And we're going to follow back up with you in 3 more months, when you have 6 months, and then again in a year. And so I'm excited to continue on this journey with you. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. And it's stories like yours that makes a lot of this work worth it, and we feel good about it. So thank you, Caelan.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be back, man.
All right,
Thank you.
bud. All right. Thanks, bud.
Yes, sir. Wow.